And the last part, what can you do about this to bring something new, fresh, exciting to the world? What can you do to share these with the world, to bring something original, something new, fresh? And remember, you need to take very small steps to make this happen. Like, it starts with very small steps. Your personal renaissance, it all starts with very small steps. Maybe you need to establish your TikTok. It's a matter of minutes. You can do it in just 2 minutes. 2 minutes is all you need. Maybe you need to establish your YouTube channel. It's just 2 minutes. You can do it in literally just right now, in just 2 minutes. Like, nobody is preventing you. And it is so simple. Like, you can immediately do it. Like, we generally overthink about this. Oh, what if nobody watches me? What if this happens? What if I make mistakes? No, you are exaggerating these all, you know. Like, it is a very simple decision. You just start it, do it right now. Like, establish your Instagram presence. Establish your Instagram brand. Do it right now. Like, you can even do it right now. It's so simple. Like, do it today. Like, kickstart doing this and make it a daily habit of yours. It is so simple. Yeah, you just spend a few moments, capture a video, share something, that's it. And do it regularly. And you will see that over a period of time, you will establish your own presence. You will become a storyteller. You will establish new skill sets. You will share yourself, your passions with the world. And you will establish your brand. Many companies are curious about what you can do them online in this social media era. You know, many companies do not know how to cope with TikTok. If you are already on TikTok, have your own following, you have enormous competitive advantage because these old generation firms, they have no idea. They don't know. These executives, they don't know how to deal with this new world. So if you really engage with these new technologies, algorithms, trends, then you are ahead. You have your competitive advantage. And you are sharing your passions with the world. So please brainstorm this at home. What is the one thing that you can create, bring to the world? But think about this like for half an hour or so. Create a list. Like, create a list of all your ideas. What does the world need? What do I love doing? And what is the unique field, unique niche field that only I can contribute? You know, there are some specific fields that only you can make. You can contribute. What are those? So there are many examples of this. Tony Robbins, he's obsessed about personal development and success. He has a documentary on Netflix, I'm Not Your Guru. Vivian Maier, she was obsessed about photography, but she kept it as a secret. This is a documentary about Vivian Maier.
I found this box loaded with negatives. I won it for $380.
The history of street photography is being rewritten.
Vivian Maier.
Vivian Maier.
Vivian Maier?
Exhibitions in New York, in LA, in London, Chicago.
We've had more interest in this work than any other photographer.
There's one particular that I bought which I love.
It was 700 rolls of undeveloped color film, 8mm and 16mm movies.
She would take us and we would just walk in the worst parts of town, and I think she liked that.
You know, maybe we just didn't understand her.
What would you say to Vivian now?
What drove you to hide yourself away?
I did her, why the f didn't you ever show me all the stuff you did? I thought I was a friend of yours.
In death, she is getting the fame she never had in life.
I'm uncovering an artist. If I'm leaving this giant boulder unturned, it would be a mistake.
Of course, she would have hated every minute.
Done differently then.
Sure, I wish I would have found those negatives instead of you.
So you should share what you create. Whatever you create, you should share with the world. Joseph, he's making these useless machines. Maybe you know him from YouTube.
For years, Joseph Herscher has been fastidiously building incredibly complex machines to simplify his life. They turn newspaper pages for him. They cut his hair. And they serve him cake.
I'm Joseph, and I make useless machines.
Of course, utility is in the eye of the beholder.
And it burns a string, which releases this hammer, which shoots the asparagus.
But in an age of computer graphics and slick video editing, Joseph's single continuous shot videos of wacky contraptions stand out for their intricately kinetic lo-fi whimsy.
And it's delivered to my open mouth. Machines are usually designed to be as efficient as possible. And to then go and make a machine that's super inefficient and playful, there's something sort of delightful and absurd about that.
His creations have delighted millions on his YouTube channel, Joseph's Machines.
The first machine I ever made was to pour a cup of tea for my roommates, and it would take so long to run that the tea would be cold. So that didn't really work. But we filmed it and I put it on YouTube, and that was the one that went viral, and that's how I ended up with this as a career.
Machines often start with a small personal irritation.
I hate always trying to get the last bit of ketchup out of a bottle.
So you know when the sauce gets stuck at the bottom of the bottle? Annoying, right?
So that motivates me, like, there's got to be a better way.
Here we go.
And then I remember one day thinking, oh, I know, if I attach it to a fan and then spin the fan. So I made a video for that.
Perfect!
Joseph, who grew up in New Zealand, was fascinated by problem-solving machines from a young age.
Okay, I'll stop that. But as you can see, if you do something unique, interesting, people will notice. And that means you need to embrace what is unique about yourself, what is weird about yourself. Like, is there something unusual? Normally, what happens is we generally censor these. We want to be normal. We want to be appreciated as normal by society, by others, due to peer pressure or societal expectations. We should stop doing that. Like, my message to you is you need to embrace what makes you weird. So please make a list of as many things as possible, up to 6, yeah? Make a list of what makes you weird. Create your own list. So we need to be celebrating these, embracing these, instead of censoring these. For example, I have dyspraxia. I cannot use a bike. I use a trike for that. Maybe you have seen me around campus. I can use only a trike because I cannot balance a bike. Okay, so I bump into objects. I make small accidents around the house. You know, it's very annoying for people around me. I forgot. I put the kettle on the stove, you know, and opened the, and forgot it there. So, like, I was almost burning my wife's office at the University of Cambridge, and they are so serious about this. So, like, all these accidents, I'm horrible in this. Yeah. So, but these also make me weird in a way. So what makes you weird? For example, I love, whenever I'm working, I have to listen to these Turkish dramas. For each Turkish drama episode is like two and a half hours, so long. And so when I'm working, writing something, I always need to open like a Turkish drama because it reminds me of my childhood, those sounds, etc. So, like, these are all weird things about me. So what my point is, like, we need to be much more explicit and embrace these, especially if you are on social media. Like, you need to, I would say, broadcast this to the whole world. What is unique about you? What is weird about you? Because these weird things, unusual things about you, will make you they are the most original things about your story in this world. And you should share that story with the world. You know, that's the unique value you can bring to the world. But generally, like when I was young, I was embarrassed of these things. I could not like own up to these things. And now, after 40, I'm like proud of these things. This is me. If you like me, you can come, be friends with me. If you don't like me, go away. So that's the attitude, you know. And there will be people who will love you because of your sincerity, uniqueness, you know. And that's the point, you know. We shouldn't be loved by all people. We should be loved by our close friends or people whom we can reach, really. And you can make a big difference if you really share your story, whatever it is, with the world. So, here's the exercise. Oh, by the way, before the exercise, this is Turkish daytime TV. Aunties. These are Turkish aunties. This is Gangnam Style. They are doing the Gangnam Style for exercise. And that's amazing. That's what makes like Turkish TVs colorful, you know. So, groups, clusters of 2 or 3. I want you to discuss. Discuss in clusters of 2 or 3. Find somebody to discuss and share what makes you weird. Okay? Just share at least one thing. Okay? You don't have to share all. Just share one thing. So, who is the most weird among you? Celebrate that person and try to find a film or fiction character that would resemble your friend if you can. Okay? And you will write popcorns for one another. On a piece of paper, you will write something positive, memorable, specific, as a gift and exchange it with your friend. Okay? So write something about your friends that will be inspiring, motivating, perhaps, that would celebrate the other person. So please give your popcorns. If you haven't given popcorns, please give them to each other. Okay. Yeah, I'll put them just after the lecture.
Are these lectures recorded?
I had a technical problem, but I started recording, so I don't know if it is recording or when.
Where do we normally find it?
Sorry?
Where do we find it?
So if it is recorded, you will find it just underneath the lecture PowerPoint. Okay? But if it is not recorded, if it is a technical failure, then you won't find it, yeah? But I'm trying to resolve the issues with IT. Okay, the last part, failures. In the last part, my final message of today is that you need to fail a lot. That's contrary to others, maybe. Like failure is something that we are really scared of, but you shouldn't be scared of failing. You should fail a lot. Each failure is an experiment. And it is unfortunate that we have so much negativity on failures. If you revisit your failures as learning experiments, a process of learning, then your whole life will change because you will improve a lot. You will handle it better next time. So, and you are all young. At 23, J.K. Rowling was broke. Jeff Bezos was not flipping burgers, but he was just about to start his company. Walt Disney was bankrupt, and Barack Obama was a community organizer. So it's still very early. Don't ever give up. There is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs, and that means a lot of frustration, rejections, failures, mistakes. So J.K. Rowling, again, a classic example, was rejected 12 times before being approved. And then it became the best-selling book in history, right? Dyson failed 5,126 times before he invented the vacuum cleaner. And now it's a 5 billion empire. And Walt Disney was turned down 302 times, and now Disney is one of the greatest world brands. So failure is only final if you give up. You should never give up if you really believe in what you are doing, and you believe that you are unique, you are adding value. If you are adding value, remember that this is a long-term marathon. It's not a 100-meter sprint. It's a long-term marathon. Think of at least 10 years. So this is from Lady Gaga. I had a boyfriend who told me I would never succeed, never be nominated for a Grammy, never have a hit song. And I said to him, someday when we are not together, you won't be able to order a cup of coffee without seeing me. And that happened. So fail means first attempt in learning. First attempt in learning. Let's look at Jack Ma on failures.
Where the headquarters still are.
Yeah.
And your campus is there.
You don't have... Well, my grandfather was a tiny landlord, was considered after liberating.
Colleges. Each time they rejected you.
No, I tried. There's examination that young people, if you want to go to university, you have to take the examinations. So I failed 3 times. I had a lot of fail. I failed for funny things, that I failed a key primary school test for 2 times, and I failed 3 times for the middle schools, and you will never believe in Hangzhou, my city, there's only 1 middle school that lasts only.
Sorry.
That will become a middle school. We're not that good. Even today, that lasts only 1 year. It was changed from primary school to middle school because our graduates of our school, no middle school accept us because we were too bad. Yeah. They will become a middle school.
What effect did it have, though, being rejected?
Well, I think we have to get used to it. We're not that good. Even today, we still have a lot of people reject us. I think when I graduate from universities, and before for 3 years I tried to fill in the universities. So I applied jobs for 30 times, got rejected. I went for a police, they said, no, you're not good. I went to even the KFC. When KFC came to China, come to my city, 24 people went for the job. 23 people accepted. I was the only guy. And we went for police. 5 people, 4 of them accepted. I was the only guy that I received it. So to me, being turned down, rejected. Oh, by the way, I told you that I applied for Harvard for 10 times, rejected. I know I'll be rejected.
Yeah, sorry now. 10 times you wrote them and said, I'd like to come to Harvard.
Yeah. And then I told myself, someday I should go teach there, maybe.
I think that can be arranged.
So, failure is a part of our lives, everyone's life. So, my current academic CV is about 10 pages, but it only lists my accomplishments. If only I listed my failures, it would be much longer. So, people see just success. You just see one-night success stories. No, that's never like that. Like, that's years of frustration, years of rejection, years of being a nobody. So if I had a CV of my failures, it would be at least 5 times longer than my actual CV, and I'm very honest about this. So, for example, after my undergrad, I applied for PhD programs. At that time, I applied for 15 different PhD programs, and I was rejected by them all. And my parents had sold their course so that I could apply. So it was like a huge trauma for me, for my family. But I had to reorganize myself and say that I have to get up and maybe I should do my master's in Turkey, and then I can better prepare myself for PhD. So that's what I did. I did my MBA. During that process, I learned about research. I worked with 5 professors. I worked for 80 hours a week because PhD was my dream. I didn't want to give up on that. So I applied again after 2 years. This time I was much better prepared. So I got accepted from multiple universities. But if you look at the short term, like I was devastated for at least a month. So you should look at the longer picture of your life to really understand how things make sense and how they come together in your life. Sometimes you apply for things, you will be rejected a lot. Sometimes you will try different things and they will all fail. And that's okay. You are still very early in your journey. Don't ever give up. And don't let these experiences define you. Like, you will be much better. You will improve much better. And yeah, rejections from academic journals. I got 30 publications, 4 times rejections, maybe even 5 times rejections. By now, I have, I think, more than 200 rejections. I applied for 100 jobs when I finished my PhD. There was an economic crisis. It was a horrible year. So I ended up, I think, for applying for 120 jobs. It was horrible, and I got rejected from the great majority of them all. I just got a couple of interviews, that's it. So, like, even if you are really good, you will be rejected. Even if you are really good, you will fail a lot. And if you are ready for that, whatever happens, I will still continue taking small steps and continue on my journey, improve myself every day. Next time I do this, I will be better. I don't know how to do this, but I will figure it out. I will be open to learning and improving myself each time, and iterate it, improvise it each time. So that's the way. And if you do lots of experiments along the way, you will eventually be hugely successful if you don't give up. That's what Elon Musk did. Remember how many times he was almost bankrupt and how many times his rockets failed. He failed in rockets at least 10 times. But then he made remarkable achievements. So you need to really get out of your comfort zone. All your better life is outside your comfort zone. One of the biggest mistakes is like we live in our comfort zones. We are too comfortable. And you need to eliminate that comfort from your life. You need to act like an entrepreneur. What if I try this? What if I try this? Try to do hundreds of experiments in your life. Like a Renaissance person would do 10,000 experiments in a decade. So give yourself a decade, 10 years, and give yourself 10,000 experiments. Like writing a Medium article, it's an experiment, for example. I've done nearly 400 of these experiments, right? I'm doing that for myself. In 1.5 years, I have written 400 articles. That means 400 experiments. I created nearly 450 YouTube videos for myself. That means 450 other experiments, right? And I'm on TikTok now. I did about 60 experiments there. I'm still learning, very early in that journey, but I'm doing it. I'm still learning, enjoying the process. That's what matters. Nobody watches my TikToks. It's no problem. What matters is how I relate to it. I do it because I have fun. That's it. You should just try to share these with the world. If you do, you will add enormous value. And remember, this is a 10-year process. I'm still in my 2nd year. So I have 8 years more in these experiments. And when I finish all these experiments, I will have like hundreds of, thousands of articles and videos. And they will go somewhere, I'm sure of it. So I'm very respectful of myself in 2031. 2031, Fahri Karakash, I really have huge respect for him. That's why I'm trying to work every day so that I can become him. So that's how you need to think of these, like really long term, 10 years. And give yourself a lot of challenges. So all these people, they got lost. And then they found their way. Ray Kroc, he founded McDonald's at the age of 52. 52. So you should never give up. It's never too late. You are still very early in your journey. So these are your years for failing. Fail a lot. The more failures you have, believe me, honestly, like, you will become a more interesting person. Like, if you endure a lot of failures, let's say you are an entrepreneur, you lost money, you tried again, you got better that time, that's the way things work, really, like, in everything. Like, so keep failing, keep learning. Failure means learning. That's how I approach things. So this is the negative talk. You need to turn it into positive. You can have a look. And sometimes you will feel very negatively in your life. So that's why I keep these notebooks. I write all my worries and anxieties, stresses, failures, whatever, all negativity, I put them down. You know, especially in the morning. If you are anxious, worried about the upcoming day, just write it down, half an hour. That's it. Like, it will open up. And you will start feeling excited again. What am I curious about today? What will I learn? Something that will keep me excited today. You know, that's the mentality. If you do it every day, then you will become a Renaissance person and establish very good habits. So, all these negative feelings, you can, like, these are from my notebooks. But if you feel overwhelmed, stressed out, write your morning pages. Open your notebook, write for 20 minutes, capture your stream of consciousness. Just do it. It will help you deal with all the obstacles in your life. So, you can have a look at these. I will finish with an exercise, but before that, let's look at J.K. Rowling.
Today, on location in Scotland.
I went from utter obscurity. It was like being a beetle.
Is it true that you still take the bus? The billionaire mom behind the Harry Potter empire, J.K. Rowling. You gotta meet her.
This is a thing I've never really spoken about.
I know you went through a period of depression. One of the most fascinating interviews I've ever done. You regret that?
Hugely, hugely. God, I'm about to make myself cry.
Next.
The J.K. Rowling legend begins with a delightful children's book about an orphan boy wizard with a lightning-shaped scar. A boy with a magical destiny. A destiny shared by his creator. J.K. Rowling is the first self-made billionaire author in history, selling more than 400 million books, captivating readers in 69 languages, and 200 countries around the world. Harry's final chapter, The Deathly Hallows, is the fastest-selling book of all time. No wonder she's credited with doing more for literacy than anyone else on the planet. Her empire spans movies, merchandise, even an amusement park. The Harry Potter blockbusters are the highest-grossing movie franchise in Hollywood history, raking in $5.3 billion and still counting. So, this is the first time we've met.
Yes, it is.
And my producers tell me that your real name is Joe. All this time I thought you were J.K. J.K.
Yeah.
But J.K.
is just the well, it's because my British publisher, when the first book came out, thought this is a book that will appeal to boys, but they didn't want the boys to know a woman had written it. So they said to me, could we use your initials? And I said, fine. I only have one initial. I don't have a middle name. So I took my favourite grandmother's name, Kathleen.
Kathleen.
Kathleen, yeah.
Joe Kathleen.
Joanne Kathleen.
And fooled the boys for a while.
Yeah, not for too long.
Not for too long.
Yeah, because I started giving my picture in the press and no one could pretend I was a man anymore.
Yes.
That's what it does, it frees you. That's why it's like a superpower. You don't, it frees you. I mean, we don't have the luxury of literally being able to sit down for what I've written. Oddly, if you'd asked me before I wrote it, what did I believe, I maybe couldn't have told you. But it does come through strongly in the Potter books. Sorry. Happened post-success, so, you know, he was he was there for a while, 6 months before she died of Harry's journey.
Yeah.
So that's...
You read that?
Yeah, hugely, hugely. But the odd thing is, I mean, this is life, isn't it? The books wouldn't be what they are if she hadn't died. I mean, her death is on virtually every other page of the Harry Potter books, you know. At least half of Harry's journey is a journey to deal with death in its many forms, what it does to the living, what it means to die, what survives death. It's there in every single
What the love
volume
of your
books.
parents, the love of your parents, how that abides with you still. Yes.
Exactly. So if she hadn't died, I don't think it's too strong to say there wouldn't be Harry Potter. There wouldn't, you know, the books are what they are because she died, because I loved her and she died. That's why they are what they are.
Would it also be fair to say that your life, everything in your life, because I know you went through a period of depression, and I read that the Dementors came from that depression.
Completely, yeah.
In Harry Potter's world, the Dementors are dark creatures who feed off human happiness, causing depression and despair to those in their path. Dementors are capable of consuming a person's soul. Would it be fair to say that you've used, in the 17-year process of writing the Potter series, that you've used the good, the bad, and the ugly of your life?
Definitely.
And expressed it through your writing, through the Potter stories.
For sure. Depression is clinical depression is a terrible place to be. Terrible place.
So you became depressed after your mother died?
Yes, but I think it was a kind of delayed. I think I had tendencies towards depression from quite young. It became really acute when I was sort of 25 to 28. Was a dark time. It's that absence of feeling, and it's even the absence of hope that you can feel better. And it's so difficult to describe to someone who's never been there. But because it's not sadness. Sadness is, I know sadness. Sadness is not a bad thing, you know, to cry and to feel. But it's that cold absence of feeling, that really hollowed out feeling. That's what the Dementors are. And it was because of my daughter that I went and got help.
Coming up, how Jo's epic failure became a billion-dollar success story, and why she turned down the King of Pop. That's big. That you didn't want Michael Jackson.
A lot of things. So why do I talk about the benefits of failure? Simply because failure meant a stripping away of the inessential.
So she lived in poverty for more than 7 years, just in context, with her baby. And it was really tough for her.
Stopped pretending to myself that I was anything other than what I was, and began to direct all my energy into finishing the only work that mattered to me. I was set free, because my greatest fear had been realized, and I was still alive, and I still had a daughter whom I adored, and I had an old typewriter and a big idea. And so rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all.
I love the Harvard speech. Were you a little nervous going?
So you can watch the Harvard speech and the rest of things, but let's do the exercise and finish it. So I want you to remember some of your biggest failures. Write them down in your notebook as bullet points. And what did you learn from them? Make a list of them, a quick list. What were some of the biggest failures of your life? Make a quick list. And what did you learn from them? Okay, I want you to be more specific now. Try to be more systematic in remembering your failures. Any failures you had in number one, entrepreneurship, business, or career, or academic. Your school, academic failures, entrepreneurship, career, business, work-related. So try to remember some of them. And number two, this is even more critical, creativity and arts. Like, did you practice with any of these fields in your life? And then it didn't quite work out. Let's say music, visual arts, film, theater, crafts, dance, writing, creative writing, design, drawing, painting, etc. Yeah, you can choose the domains. So, but something happened, or it did not work, or somebody crushed your feelings, maybe. Or somehow you couldn't make it, and then you had to change your approach, or drop it entirely. So did you change your approach, adapt, or did you drop it entirely? What happened? So capture those like stories in quick bullet points. I know that this is not like a fun exercise, but I think it is so critical to revisit these experiences and make peace with them. Because that's like some of your biggest learning lies in these areas, your failures, you know. Like if you can turn them into something positive, such as a learning, then you will transform yourself. You will be so much better. So how can you turn these into opportunities for learning, for transformation, for positive change? That's the big question, you know, about each of these. And how will you go forward? And remember, going forward requires very small steps, very small steps. Like you don't need radical steps in these areas. Like let's say you want to go back to any of these creative areas, creative fields. You have tried it, it didn't work. Just make peace with it and take very smallest action that is possible. Like what can you do that is positive, that is small in that domain? Do it. If you like doing it, never give importance to what others might say about what you created. Maybe you got some harsh criticisms. Forget about them. Like, what do you feel about it? If you feel that you created value, that means there is enormous value there to be untapped, to be unleashed. You have to go back there and retry it and take a small action. Try it again and make peace with it. And just try to go forward. And you can do this in very small, positive steps. So I want you to identify some positive steps as you have written some of your failures. How can you take some positive steps in each of these fields? You can watch, for example, YouTube videos on whatever your interest, passion is. Go back to it. Try to learn it, improvise yourself, and experiment. Carry out a few more experiments until you figure it out. For example, in my YouTube journey, I had a lot of issues. I put a lot of work into it. I have about 400 plus videos, right? but I still haven't reached 1,000 subscribers, right? So if you think about it, each of these 400 videos is a failure, if you think about it. Like, each of them is an experiment. But if I think positively, each one is a positive experiment because I'm learning something new every time, and I keep improving. So the trajectory of the long term is definitely very positive. And I keep growing, I keep learning. And I will grow even better. I will learn even better. You know, that's the mentality. You know, I will figure it out. It's a 10-year journey, remember. Like, in the bigger world of things, you need to think in terms of the big picture. 10 years. In 10 years, where will you be? That means carrying a lot of experimentation. Like, so your failures are not things that you did, you created, you know. I never view these YouTube videos as failures. No, they are success stories. Because it might have changed just one person's life. That's a success, you know. So don't just judge your creations based on external validation. You know, all these views, ratings, likes. That's very damaging to the soul. Stop doing that. Like, just do it for yourself. And maybe you can change the life of just one person. And that's it. That's the definition of success. So we need to recreate our definitions of success and what it means to us. Okay, so that's my message for today. Before we finish, just share one of your failures with your friend and share your stories with one another and what you learned so that we will give some morale to each other, okay? As we finish, we will give some morale to each other. You listen, you share, yeah? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So please do register your attendance. So as you share your stories, give each other some morale as we finish. Give some morale. Write on a paper something that will encourage your friend. Again, a popcorn. Something that gives some morale, encouragement. Thank you so much for today. I'll see you in our seminars this week. Thank you. Have a great week.